My name is Rick Dunn. I'm a creative director at MMGY Global. This is Seth Faulkner. He's a senior art director. We're really excited to be here and talk about brand today. Brand's kind of a big thing. There's a lot to talk about, so we'll probably move pretty quickly. But we're really excited to be here. It's basically our job every day to create and support the Beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel's brand. We've both been there from the beginning on it, and it's a brand we really believe in. I vacation down here, and my mom lives in Bonita Springs. We were just down here a week and a half ago. So not only do we work on it all the time, but we believe in it. And today's talk, I think, hopefully at the end of it, what you'll get out of it is how to create a brand for yourselves or support the brand that you already have in a way that helps other people believe in it too. And so that's why we're here. I think when you think about brand, there's certain brands, and the best ones out there sort of elevate what they do in a way so it's not just about the things that they sell. And I think Harley-Davidson is a great example of that. It's much more than motorcycles. It's an entire lifestyle. They've sort of gone from just what they do, just what they sell, and created something that people really see themselves in and believe in. And again, that's what we're going to do, I think, here today. Give you some practical things that you can try to get to that place. Now, will people tattoo your logo on their arm? No, probably not. But we still can help create those connections with people. So they see a little bit of themselves every time they think of your brand, of your company, of your product. We, at MMGY, we always say that no two destinations are alike, and that goes for products, it goes for everything. So you can always find the unique things. But when it comes to branding, oftentimes, why do they still look the same? People are different, but yet they sort of develop their brand in a way, where they all start to look the same. And you see it, Seth, go ahead.
Yeah, you start to see it in some of these ads. We've kind of gotten rid of some of the logos on all these. So it's more about looking at the visuals and how similar they are. These are three different destinations, and you'll look at them in the photography, very similar. You don't know necessarily where they're at. They all look the same. There's nothing that really sets them apart from each other. So that's kind of where we go first as we start looking at these visuals. What is everybody else doing? And, why do they not separate themselves? And here again we have two lovely ladies in the water, but that could be anywhere.
They always have white swimsuits on, is the other thing.
Yeah.
Always.
They're always very pretty.
Yeah, wow.
Here again, two people very close on the beach. We all do that, right?
Yeah.
And here, weddings, very similar. I've been on a lot of photo shoots. I'll admit I've done this shot before. Don't do it anymore, but very similar.
Yeah, so not only do brands sort of, because maybe they haven't defined themselves in a way that's unique to them, they start looking the same. They also sound the same, the way they choose to talk about themselves. And you see this a lot. There are three things that are my favorite. The word adventure. Adventure always pops up when brands start talking about what they offer, right? Adventure in living, adventures in Wonderland, adventures without really saying what the adventure is in a way that makes it unique from anybody else. The same thing can be said with experience, an experience like no other, or enjoy a unique experience. What is that experience? They use that word because they really haven't defined it themselves. And then another one, get away but not too far away. It always speaks to proximity. It's like you can get away, but we're a short plane ride away, we're a short drive. These are things that everybody says, every brand sort of loop themselves into. And I think this is always one of my favorites. It's like the bathtub. Only one of these is a Cialis ad, right? And I don't know what weird metaphor goes on with the bathtub. I haven't quite figured that out yet. These commercials are on a lot actually right now. But, only one of these is a destination ad. And I know that's St. Lucia because I've been there. But if you were to take away those mountains, what are we really saying? It's a shot that now, it's a setup that a bunch of different people use that you don't want to use if you're a destination, right? Because it means something completely different. So when we're helping people develop their brands, there's kind of one thing that we always try to avoid. It's the biggest thing you need to avoid if you're just starting to develop your brand, to redo it. And that's that idea that there's literally something for everyone. It's this idea that if we cast a wide enough net, we'll get a lot of different people in, instead of trying to think about that one person, have those one-on-one conversations where we can really talk about how we're unique and connect to that individual.
And an example of this that we like to use sometimes is BMW. There's thousands, millions of cars out there, but what does BMW do to separate itself? They could approach it in this direction, from wheels and tires to 4 doors, big engines, leather seats, satellite radio, heated steering wheel, GPS navigation, and everything in between. We've got it all. And that's one way they could approach their brand. But they don't do that. They know what they're about. They market themselves as the ultimate driving machine. They target a specific person, and that really sets them apart from most of the other places.
Yeah, that's right. And then, when it comes to destinations themselves, I like this quote from Anthony Bourdain, because it speaks to being real about what you offer and who you are. He says, few people go to New Orleans because it's a normal city or perfect or a safe one. They go because it's borderline, dysfunctional, permissive, shabby, alcoholic, and batshit crazy, and because it looks like nowhere else. And that's true. I mean, that is true. People go there, they have that experience. There's other things that they can do there. But what he's saying is New Orleans shouldn't run away from that. Fort Myers and Sanibel offers that island, and that's the islands, that island lifestyle, which is so prominent here, which I enjoy, and that's why we tied in to Find Your Island. So don't be the kitchen sink. Don't try to cast a wide net. Instead, be exactly who you are. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. It's not Oscar Wilde quote, but it applies, and I think this is the number one thing when it comes to branding. You have to be yourself, because people will see right through you if you're not. I also like this slide. Simon Sinek, he's a writer, and he spoke at TEDx. Specifically, he talks about branding a lot. And he says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And I think that's very true. It's not, again, necessarily what your service, what you're selling, or even how you do it. Because you could say, I do it differently than anybody else. So that's a hard thing for a consumer to believe. But why you do it. If you can really discover or define why you do it for people, then they can start to believe you a little bit more. Getting down to how we actually execute a brand, and I think some things that everyone in this room could do. We use 6 elements of branding when we do this for our clients. And they are the brand positioning, the brand promise, values, experience, voice, and essence. And these are things that you have to think about in depth and write about to discover who you are. But when you get this all done, you sort of have a blueprint for everything that you put out in market, whether it's a print ad or a press release or a TV commercial or what have you. What we thought we would do, whoops, sorry, I just blew the whole big reveal. Yeah, that's about right. We thought what we would do instead of these, and there we go. Instead of these 6 branding elements and just talking about them like I've been talking about everything else, we thought we would put it into sort of practice for you and do an example of how these 6 things can really develop, and then what you can do with them moving forward.
And since Rick already blew the whole big reveal, the red coconut. Everybody knows the red coconut here? Yeah. Where are the red coconut people? I think they're in here. Yeah, all right. We love you guys.
Thank you in advance, but
thank you. We decided to do a little mini branding project just for the fun of it. They've never seen this. We just kind of did it on the plane ride down. Here's some
that's us on the plane.
Fun pics of us on the plane ride just before we get started. And obviously, I did most of the work. Rick passed out. Yeah.
So what we wanted to do with the red coconut, we love it. Like I said, I was here a week and a half with my family, and we drove by, and I love that sign. It's just such a cool thing. It's an RV park, right on the water. It's very unique. And so we, just thought that this would be a fun way to sort of, bring to life these 6 elements of branding. So what we do is we start with a positioning statement. We've written one for the red coconut. And I'll go through this line by line, but it says, for those who own a piece of the road, the Red Coconut RV Park is where the rubber meets the sand, a relaxing, original, and unpretentious resort where Fort Myers Beach is right outside your windshield, inspiring and reigniting the free spirit in us all. So what exactly are we saying there? First, who are we speaking to? Thanks. First, who we're speaking to is for those who own a piece of the road, right? I mean, our RV owners are sort of a distinct breed, right? They own the RV so they can go where they want. They are very free-spirited. So that's who we're talking to. Who are we? The Red Coconut RV Park is where the rubber meets the sand. They really are one of very few places, I think it's one of three, maybe in Florida, if not fewer than that have direct beach access. You're right on the beach. And so that's the number one thing that we have to sell. What differentiates us? We're relaxing, original, and unpretentious. A resort, full resort, where Fort Myers Beach is right outside your windshield. Again, that keys back into the fact that we're right on the beach, but it also says what you can expect there, that you can expect that relaxing beach vacation, in an original setting. And I think RV owners across the board probably are a little unpretentious, right? That's just who they are. And then lastly, what is the benefit to the consumer? Well, it's right there again. It's right outside your windshield, inspiring and reigniting the free spirit in all of us. So they almost by coming there, they're inspired. They sort of are glad again or happy again that they made that purchase of an RV. That's exactly what they made that purchase for, so they could go and park it right next to the beach and almost have a beach house on wheels there. Okay, so once you have the positioning statement, you can begin to work on a few of the other items. And the first is the brand promise. And that's what are we promising our customers? It's pretty simple. The Red Coconut turns every RV into a traveling beach house, giving guests rare front door access to Fort Myers Beach. And that's above all else what we're promising them. And I think that's a hard thing. Sometimes, again, the kitchen sink, some businesses want to promise a whole lot to their people. But what's that one thing we can really deliver on and deliver on well? And that's it. And then we go to brand values. We define it as a code of behavior. It's really a personality. I mean, if you think of a person, what's their personality traits? Well, the Red Coconut is authentic. Again, it's one of very few. It has that vintage throwback feel that we love so much. There's no other place like it. The Red Coconut is welcoming. Again, RV owners are that way. And I know that the staff is there too, and the people that you're parked next to. The Red Coconut is liberating. Again, RV owners want that freedom. They get it there, reaffirmed there. The Red Coconut is also connecting. There's a sense of community, I'm thinking, that develops between people that are parked next to one another. And then, obviously, any beach vacation needs to be relaxing, so it is. So those are the personality traits that anything that we put out there need to have as well. Just sort of those elements or undertones working through it. And then we go to brand experiences, and experiences are the things that really are the proof behind the promise that we said, that it's sort of a beach house on wheels. How do we deliver that? Well, we are direct beachfront camping. We're, like I said, one of three in Florida. You're right on the sand. The sunset's right there. There are many beach activities that you can take advantage of. Even though this is camping, you're not really roughing it. They're full hookups, the things that RV owners care about, full amenities. They also have cottage and RV rentals, and these are just a few of the things that they do there. And then also the beach lifestyle, another proof point. The RV community sort of meets the beach attitude there. And you, of course, have access to Fort Myers Beach and events throughout the season. So those are that, and then you move to brand voice. And I'm a writer by trade, so this is the thing that I always glob onto is how do I want this brand to speak if I'm writing copy for an ad? And these are just some of those things. I want my copy the way that I'm speaking about Red Coconut to be free-spirited, just like they are, to be genuine, inviting, fun, overall fun, and personal. I want to talk directly to the people. So what that all boils down to, and I think, of the whole architecture, you get to that one thing. And the one thing for the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel is, of course, find your island. Well, what is it for the red coconut? And what we came up with is get sand between your tires. They use a similar line on their site, actually, but it speaks to a couple different things. One, obviously, it places us. We're right on the beach. We're talking to RV owners, tires, but it has a larger emotional connection to somebody. The fact that they can get there, park, and sort of let the rest of the world drop away and enjoy their vacation. I think it does all those things. So what you're going to see moving forward is how we put this architecture, which is admittedly sort of a lofty thing to get your head around. But when you start to develop all your marketing, and it's tied back to get sand between your tires, you begin to see how something like an architecture is so helpful. And so Seth is going to walk us through some of the work that we've done. Just because we're creative guys, we love to do ads and things. And so he'll take it over.
Well, again, you just blew my...
Yeah.
Anyway, once Rick gets done with kind of writing the overall brand architecture, we start to think about visuals, things that make this brand come to life. And one of the first things we do is a logo, because the logo can't exactly do everything for your brand, but it is something that it reflects back to. It can't carry your brand totally. There's a lot of things that go into it, but it is something that it always ladders back to. So since I love to do logos, and this is a little distorted, but anyway, I put together a bunch. These are just 3 of the first concepts we threw out on the plane. I can walk you through them really quickly, but first concept down here on the left is just kind of a tire. Because of the tires in the sand, I mean, first thing that came to mind for me is, it's a tire, surrounded kind of by a sandy color. I don't know, didn't quite work for me. The one up there at the top, it's the red coconut beachfront RV park. Maybe it works a little too hard. I don't know, a little too much going on there. And then the red coconut, well, that's supposed to be a coconut, but looking at it a second time, maybe it's a little too hairy. I don't know. So anyway, we love the vintage brand of the red coconut. I've driven by there. Rick's driven by there. We love that overall feel, and it works. And they have a lot of practical reasons that they market themselves as a vintage RV park. And just because we love that, I mean, I think this mark was the strongest of them. It's simple, it has that vintage feel. Kind of worked in a little bit of a coconut in there to, just a little fun. Because what do you do on the beach? You sit back, you grill out on the beach, next to your RV and drink drinks. I also liked working in the beachfront RV park. I thought that was really important because it's not just an RV park. It's one of 3 that are on the beach. So from there, oh yeah, I blew it again. Jeez. Anyway, I was going to say the ultimate test for a logo is would you tattoo it on your arm? But like the Harley Davidson. Obviously not in this case, but I would put this bumper sticker on my car. It's something that you could start to develop. Maybe it's on T-shirts. Maybe it's on hats. It starts to go all over the country. You start to build on that. And it's red coconut, beachfront RV park. And it's all over the country because RVs are all over the country. Right. So that's where we start, is with the logo. Moving on from there, we start to develop like posters and ads and things that kind of carry that look. In this case, we want to do something fun, something that stands out. You saw all the ads earlier with the, we could show girls in bikinis, white bikinis. White bikinis. In the ocean, but we chose not to. This is something that if you're paging through a magazine or you stop, it's colorful, it's different. It might stop you. It's clean. It's something that, and we all know this, it's hard to keep up with a photo library. It costs a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. And a lot of the RVs and stuff are kind of messy when they set them up, honestly. It maybe sometimes doesn't make such a pretty picture. But in this case, we could do illustrations. We could do any RV we want to. We could keep it clean, keep it simple, keep it colorful, and flip to the next one. Yeah, and then park it where the sun always shines. Just these really simple lines that convey the brand messaging that we had, right? Fun, it's unpretentious. It kind of has a little fun, a little twist, where the sun doesn't shine, but we're twisting it a little bit on that. And it all just creates just, I think,
a really striking visual that could be great.
And it still kind of reflects back to that whole vintage brand. It still kind of looks like a vintage travel poster a little bit. Here's another example of how you could treat that. Here we've added the website, because if you did want to see like lovely photos of the trailer park, or the beachfront RV park, you could go to the website, and this will drive you there. And you can look at all those pretty pictures. So,
and then the line on this: roll into town on fumes, leave with a full tank. It speaks to what I was talking about earlier. It's about what is the person getting out of it? What feeling do they get? We're not talking about their RV here. We're talking about, everyone needs a vacation. You come here on an empty tank, by the time you leave, you'll be on full again. So it works that way as well.
We also like to show, how this can be used online, maybe a takeover banner ad. And this is just an example of kind of an oversized banner takeover, where here the RV would kind of speed onto the screen, settle into place, headline would come up. Sometimes
the rubber meat needs a vacation from all that road, sorry. And then, because we know, I talked to the Red Coconut folks, and they'd love to get more people from Minneapolis, from Boston, down from spring training. So, the background is Minneapolis is a newspaper, only 1,722 miles from Minneapolis to Fort Myers Beach, and then a call to action. Whoops, and I'm not good at this thing.
So you start to see how all these things kind of come together to start to form this brand. And that's kind of where we go with the visuals.
Yeah, but it's not just about the things that we do, whether it's print ads or online ads. It's also about just ideas that you have that can support the brand, too. How do you do that in an unconventional means? We had a few ideas on that. One might be hashtag move to the front. On days, and there are probably not a whole lot when that front row of the beach is sort of full, but maybe, and you could put stipulations on it, but maybe you move someone from the back up to the front, and you document that. And obviously they'd be thrilled to be moved up there, but that could become great content for you, kind of like the content that we showed earlier today for Fort Myers and Sanibel. It's those moments that you want to capture. So that's one idea. It could be a cool social media idea. Gulfstream giveaway. Gulfstream, I know it's an aircraft, but there's also an RV company by that name, and maybe since we're on the Gulf, there's some giveaway that you could do, showcase that there at the park with that partner, and give away one for the summer or for the season. And then lastly, we've all heard of RSVP. Well, what about RVSP? So, whether it's a mailing list that we have, an email list, we send out an RVSP for people to come back this next year and reserve their spot. Just a few ideas on that. So the brand overall, that sort of ends our Red Coconut section of our presentation, which was a lot of fun to do, and thanks, guys, for letting us do that. We'll hear what you think here in a second. But, to wrap up, we showed a lot of visuals today, and brand, though, I want to make the point that it's not just about your logo. It's not about a tagline. Those are all things that support. It's not about colors or fonts. It's really about the whole package together. It's your philosophy, what you can offer people only that you can offer. It's about your perspective and story and telling that story. And really being true to yourself about what you can do. And I think if you do that, people will start to see yourselves in your brand.
And part of the reason we wanted to do this is, we did this fairly quickly. Most of the time, this takes weeks, months, even to come up with something. This is very quick, very short, but we wanted to show you that it's not impossible. You can do that. You can rebrand yourself, and you can pull it all together. So.
Pull it all together quickly. So I think to leave you before Q&A, it's the message is how to be yourself. Well, you can use those 6 elements of branding, define those for yourself, work on it, challenge yourself to make it succinct and something that's truly unique, and then use that as a blueprint on whatever you're putting out there. Am I fulfilling my brand promise? You can be honest and open with yourself, develop and express your own individuality, and really stop comparing yourself to others, because when you do that, the things like those ads start happening. You're doing exactly what maybe everyone else is doing. And by doing that, you sort of follow your own style. And above all else, you have to make it personal. It is about that emotional connection with the reader. It's not just about the stuff that you offer. And so that's what we had for you today. on branding. I don't know how we're doing on time.
Short.
So I'll open it up for Q&A, but
Well-
I think the red coconut people have to be the first ones. that-
Yeah, we got to give it up to you guys. They haven't seen this before, so we kind of wanted to get their first impression and just, open it up for questions.
I thought it was great. We loved it. We've been trying to figure out how to get more customers from the Red Sox and from Minneapolis, so that was really good. I really liked that part. And just so you know, we use a red bathing suit on our girl all the time.
We saw that picture.
Okay.
It's his screensaver now, but we don't. Yeah.
We called the Baywatch photo.
Careful, that's my niece.
Okay, never mind. Of course it is. Yeah,
Now, you guys did
I
a
walked
great
into
job.
that one.
Thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you. Any other questions?
None? Zero? I can't see it. Lights are bright.
Trey, you got a question? I don't know.
Tam.
I think it's easier to take an example like the red coconut. Sorry, I think it's easier to take an example like the red coconut where they're really different, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're truly a unique property. But what about everybody else who kind of feels like maybe they're just like the person next door to them, except maybe they have great customer service or, they have some benefit. How do you stand out in that sea? How do you differentiate in that sea? And, it's a lot like what we do. Let's be clear. We're a sun and sand destination, and we've got to figure out our unique ways to stand out from other sun and sand destinations. But how do some of the properties that maybe aren't quite as unique as the red coconut, how do they do it?
It's a good question. Seth?
Rick?
No. No, the process that we usually take on this is there's a lot of stuff that happens beforehand, and you know this very well, right? We talk to every stakeholder that we can get our hands on. Let's take Fort Myers, for example. We talk to a lot of people in this room before we even put pen to paper on anything. And at the end of the day, you do find some common ground on what people, and not just stakeholders that might work in your property, but also customers. We talk to a lot of customers and find out what they see or what they think and feel. There's always something that you do that's maybe a little bit different than somebody else or that you can offer. And it isn't so much just globbing onto that one thing, it's putting it through a filter and turning it back to that emotional thing. That's where you get and can say something that maybe no one has said before you. It might be very well something that other people can say, but if you're the person that comes up with it and says it first, then that's how you do it. But it is difficult, and that's why putting sort of those 6 elements, you can start to see where those opportunities are. But it is a process for sure. I hope that answered the question. I personally believe there's always, like we said, there's always something different for everybody out there. And it's just a matter of really digging down and finding what that is and making sure that you can deliver on it.
Yeah, and I think visually there's ways to do that too. I mean, here we tackled this one with illustrations. We did a little research, looked at other RV places, and there's a lot of photography out there. And a lot of things that look similar. And so we thought this was a way to break through that clutter. We tried a different style, actually, where we made, actual photos of theirs look very vintage and put headlines in them. And we put them up on a wall, and, the one we presented today was the one that seemed to work the best. Everybody just immediately gravitated to it. So, there's ways to do that, too, to help differentiate yourself. And, ask for other people's opinions. I mean, I think the title of our whole little show here is, it's about them, not you. So sometimes you get so caught up in, what you believe your destination is. Maybe reach out to other people, see what they feel about it. Maybe it's not quite exactly what you like, but maybe that's what people gravitate to. So.
Good question. Go ahead.
With so many different avenues and ways to go about getting your message out there, how do you think the platform that you're doing it through affects your brand, and what kinds of things do you think you need to be tweaking as you go about thinking how you're getting your word out?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, because there's two ways to answer it. One, I mean, you have your architecture, and so everything needs to ladder back to that get sand between your tires type message. And if it's doing that, you can do it in a lot of different ways. But brands do evolve, right? And they do change. You know, if you're doing online media or, you know, click, pay for click, or, you know, those sorts of things, you got to find ways to sort of turn it so it does fit for that. You know, how you do it, it's by trial and error, really. I mean, I think, you know, no brand gets it right all the time, every time. But once you start developing, you'll start to feel what works and how you can simplify that message, and then when you have more room, how to expand upon it. I mean, that's a great point to make, that the best brands do evolve and are flexible to fit in a lot of different things. So if that answers that.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Mm. Okay.
In terms of budget, you know, if somebody comes to you or you're advertising and say, well, we want to do this branding thing. I mean, like you said, you did this rather quickly, which would have been probably less expensive than doing it for 2 months. So the question is, how do you budget something like this? I mean, is there a range that you try to keep it in? I mean, how do you do that?
Well, what you said is exactly right. It's about, we can fit into any range. You know, we first think about who the client is and what they're really asking for, how they'll use that brand moving forward. Is it a big brand that's going to fit on TV and that sort of thing? But, you know, a lot of the work really isn't sort of what you've seen here usually. It is those stakeholder interviews. It is doing competitive analysis, both qualitative and quantitative, and there are a lot of other things that fall into that. Too, that's where a lot of the budget gets eaten up usually. And as you start to take those things off, in some cases, by just doing simple stakeholder interviews or less of those, you can still get to the same place, but for less of the cost a lot of the times. So it is a range that you know, we certainly customize, and I think anyone would do too, based on what you're needing. Yeah. All right. That's it.
Any more questions?
All right.
Going.
I can put down the mic. All right. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Red Coconut.